Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
I'm Baz.
And we are recording Saturday, February 17th, 2024. Already feeling the effects of the football season being over, right, Dad?
Yeah, it's we're in that spot, that area where you're starting to watch for touch football games on TV somewhere. But no, it's unfortunate, but this is where we're at now, off season.
Yeah, it's always that hard time of the year where it's a really bittersweet feeling, at least for me. Obviously during the season you're excited, you love the football season. Before the season you're excited, and then when you come to the end of the season, for me at least, I start to get a little not tired of football, but tired of not having Sundays off. I feel like we always say Sundays, it's not a day off. It's a long day of work, and there's a lot that goes into watching every game and analyzing it and bringing it onto the podcast and editing and all that sort of stuff. It feels like there's no relaxation when you're watching football on Sundays. So it's nice to have Sundays back to finally, tomorrow is actually a day off. I feel like I get
stress-free.
There's no stress, Last week before the Super Bowl, we're stressed all day. I don't want this team to win. I don't want this team to win. So it's just nice. It is a bittersweet thing. It stinks where it's over, but it's also like, okay, I finally have Sundays to myself.
Yeah, get life back in order again.
In a few weeks, I'm going to be the opposite. I'm going to go, oh my gosh, what do I do on Sundays now? Yeah. You know what I mean? But all right, we're going to go ahead and just have a quick, probably, I don't know about quick episode, but have a fun episode, some stuff to talk about, free agency, some changes with the coaching staff, some other stuff. But before we jump into all that, because the season is officially over and we're now in the off season, we want to give a shout out and just say some thanks to some certain people who really supported us a lot during this first season of our Eagles Therapy Podcast, and we just want to give a little shout out to all the thanks and just how much we appreciate you. So to start off, to our guys Steve and Ben, they're the co-presidents of the Philadelphia Eagles fan club in Colorado Springs. Thank you guys for all you do. You keep this club afloat. You keep everyone going. You keep us all happy. You keep us all having a good time. And thank you for just all you do and the support that you give to the podcast. I know you guys listen all the time because Natalie always tells me, "Oh, I wake up every Sunday to Basil's voice," because when she's sleeping Sunday morning, Steve turns on the podcast and she wakes up to my voice. So that's fun.
That's annoying.
Thank you. Yeah, right. Thanks so much for your guys' support and all you guys do for the club. To Jamie and the staff of Frankie's, everyone there, thank you so much for allowing us to have our time there and to take over the bar. And especially this season, Jamie let us put up all the decorations and everything. Thank you so much. It makes it really feel like it's an Eagles bar. Makes it feel like we're back in Philly. Just really fun to have, and it creates a great environment. But also, other than that, thank you for dealing with all of us. I know we're all a bunch of knuckleheads, and there's a lot of us, and we're loud and we scream and we yell, and this guy cusses sometimes. And with the drinking and everything. But thank you so much for all you guys do and for keeping us afloat. To my cousin Johnny Danovich, thanks for watching this whole season. Thank you for commenting. He lives up in Parker area, right?
Yeah. About an hour from here.
About an hour from here. Thank you so much for watching and comments. All you've done for giving us support and everything like that. We really appreciate it. To my dad's buddy Vento back in Philly, if you're watching this, thank you. Another big commenter on all the videos. Appreciate your commenting, even though sometimes I have no idea what he's trying to say. That's okay. That's all right.
He's old school, so watch it.
Thanks, Vento. To my dad's coworker, his buddy Rich. What's the last name again?
Jameson.
Rich Jameson. Thank you, Rich, for all your comments. Another one of the high commenters, and I know he really appreciates our historic when we talk about the history of the NFL and the history of the Eagles. So we'll definitely be doing a lot of that this off season. So hopefully you're watching, Rich, and thank you for all your support. To my Uncle Mike, my dad's brother. Uncle Mike's one of our biggest fans. He's the only one in the world who got to witness a live episode. He got to watch it while we recorded in my grandma and grandpa's garage back in Phoenix. It's the episode that we weren't able to release because of the issues we have with the Wi-Fi over there and everything like that. We only had the audio.
Just the audio, yeah.
We didn't have a video, but hey, Uncle Mike got to watch that entire episode, so I know he really appreciated that.
I think he was sitting in front of the camera when he...
Yeah, he was right behind it. Thank you, Mike, for all your support. We really appreciate it. Hopefully have a better season next year to talk about, but thank you so much for all your information and everything. To our buddy JJ, we missed you, JJ. It stunk to not have you this season at the bar with us every weekend, but thank you for tuning in and watching. I know you were commenting all the time, and
I blame him for the poor season we had.
I kind of blame him too. We all kind of blame
showed up
JJ.
for one game and we snuck that one out, but
It's kind of his fault. We lost that the whole season went off the rails. So if you're an Eagles fan, you can blame our buddy JJ. It's all his fault. So thanks JJ for commenting and for being a part of it. We really missed you. Really appreciate all your support this season. To our buddies David and Rico from the bar, thank you guys for supporting the podcast as always, and thank you for being a very continuous and continuity in the Facebook group. You guys post every single day. You're always on top of posting things, latest news, injury reports, stuff like that. We really appreciate that. You, David and Rinko, thank you so much. To my buddy Colby out in Denver, early on and throughout the season, he commented and would text me stuff and you talk about, oh yeah, it's cool, you guys do this, it's so awesome, and he would comment sometimes. So we really appreciate your support. Hopefully your Broncos have a little bit of a better season next year. To my other buddy, Colby's best friend, Lane up there in Denver. Lane's a Chiefs fan, so I don't want to give him too much airtime here. Yeah. But thank you for your support. Lane's definitely one of our biggest fans. He says he watches every episode, and he told me, he's like, man, I really appreciate your guys' podcast. I appreciate your information and your intelligence with it, and I appreciate your input. We appreciate your comments and your likes and everything. You really help to grow the podcast, and a lot of everyone I'm naming here, you guys help to give it likes and comments, and that gives it to a wider audience and lets us have more people. Got us to 108 subscribers, so we really appreciate it. So Lane, thank you very much. Congrats again on your Super Bowl win. I think we're done here though. No more. Let's cut it off now. We're done with this. Okay. Oh no, I got one more person. I meant no more Chiefs Super Bowls. Sorry. My last one and most important one that I want to shout out is friend of the podcast, Mike Roman. Mike Roman has probably been our biggest or one of the biggest supporters of the podcast. He's listened to every episode. He comments all the time. And more importantly than anything, he got us this right here. I can't imagine this was very cheap. So we really do appreciate your support, Mike. You're a brother of this podcast, and we love having you. We love your comments, and we really appreciate talking to you. And we love you as an Eagles fan and as a brother. Thank you so much for being a part of what we're going on here.
Big surprise early on.
Absolutely.
We were very excited to get something like that we could put all the rest of the stuff around to make that the centerpiece. Yes. So that's been awesome. So.
It's awesome. And it's so funny because with Mike, he was going to Frankie's, but I didn't know him. But we always saw him. Mike's also another big poster on the Facebook group, and we didn't know who he was. We're like, man, who's this Mike Roman guy? He posts all the time. And then one day he comes into my work, and I'm just like, he's an Eagles hat on. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, man? He's like, oh, no, I know you. Like, I'm like, I go to Frankie's, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, what's your name? And he's like, Mike Roman. I'm like, oh my gosh, like finally I met him. Like I see you on Facebook all the time. I never didn't know your name. So super cool stuff. But thank you, Mike, for being such a big supporter of the pod. We really appreciate it. And more than anything, thank you for this, because this is just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, agree.
But other than that, I'm ready to move into some football stuff. But thank you all again for all your support this season. Let's talk about Haason Reddick. So I know we're a little bit late to this. This was before the Super Bowl. We could have probably talked about
Super Bowl Sunday came out. Which is, what was that all about?
We could have talked about it in our preview our recap episode, but I kind of want to just focus on the Super Bowl. So Haason Reddick, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, he was, from what we had heard, that he was demanding a trade, and I think that's been debunked. So we know that it was just kind of a mutual thing, saying, "Hey, look, we want to re-sign you, but we want to see what your market value is." Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. We talked about it a little bit earlier, and I said, $15 million a year, that's a lot. And then I said, well, I don't know if he's worth that much. And then you and I went back and started looking at some of these big-time name guys, and I went, okay, I guess so. I mean, I'm not going to just, it was a bad year. We fell apart at the end. He had his 11 sacks, but I said to you, I know one of the podcasts towards the end of the year, might even been the playoff game where I said, he's the guy, he's the hardest playing guy.
Absolutely.
He was every play. And I'm like,
Cox, yeah.
And I know earlier this season I said, we should lock him up right now. During the beginning of the season, I knew we had him for that year and next year too signed, but I think they should have reset him up, prior to the end of the season this year. But now we've got that season. But I know you have more information on that. But, I think, yes, we should definitely sign him and, make it some kind of thing where it's a friendly deal where you give him a good bonus and all that stuff. And maybe get him $22 million a year or something like that. I mean, we had looked at some of the top guys, and they were making
35 million a year. See, that's
a lot.
That's where I start to.
That's a lot.
There's two sides to this, and obviously there's two sides to this. One, he's gone, and one, he's back.
Right.
The hard thing is, looking at Reddick, last 2 years in the regular season, 27 sacks in 2 years.
Right.
So what's that? 13 and a half a year, basically.
Right. Not playoffs.
Not including playoffs.
Right.
In the playoffs last year, he had 2.5. So, bump it up to even more. He's got 30 and a half, to sacks in the last.
He had 15 a year. You're
in the last 2 years. So, I mean, he's obviously underpaid. $15 million a year, that was a steal. That was a steal. It was also a hometown discount. He got to come back home. He's from Philly. He played at Temple. This is where his home is.
But he also got to play on a Super Bowl team, too. Where he's not playing in, you can make a lot of money and be playing somewhere in the States where nobody even sees you play. But you come to a team like Philly and not just Philly, but, you go to the Giants, you go to some other big name teams, Cowboys stuff. You're going to make the big money, but you're also going to get that career at the end of this when you retire. People are going to know who you are.
He doesn't have to be a Carolina Panther his whole life or a Arizona Cardinal his whole life.
Right.
That's where he was before this. And I know
years,
it's hard. Yeah, a few years, but it's hard because $15 million is definitely underpaid. But how much more are we willing to give? I can't imagine giving him over $22 million a year.
Right.
Because we talked about it. There's an upper echelon of defensive ends or edge rushers, whatever you want to call that position, outside linebacker kind of. Yes. But that edge rusher, there's the T.J. Watts. There's unfortunately the Micah Parsons, which I'm sure he's still on the board there. Then there's the Nick Bosa, the Joey Bosa.
Right.
A few more sprinkled throughout there, but T.J. Watt is really the kind of, for me, he's the number. That's the number one.
Well, that's the guy you got to block. That's the guy that's going to make. Bosa had two sacks in the Super Bowl. I mean, right? Didn't Nick have two?
It was the NFC Championship game. I don't think he had
NFC Championship.
I don't think he had any.
But no, he had. I just know he made some big plays, and you're like, well, that's what we're paying him for.
Yeah.
Just one in a big game like that is big enough. But I know he had a little fall off this year, but. Besides that, like you say, TJ and some of those other plays, you need to have that guy. And, I know he's getting up there. He's going to be 30, I believe, at the beginning of next season.
30 by the beginning of next season.
You do have him for one more year, right?
Yeah, but
he could sit out and do the whole thing.
If I were him, I would not play on that contract.
But you can also say, okay, we're going to next year we got you for 15. Now we're going to give you 22 for 2 more years after that. And then we can't sign him for 5 years. This is a 30, 31, 32 years old. That's
well, we just learned our lesson, unfortunately, with Bradbury. We signed him before he turned 30. Right. We gave him too much money. We gave him a 3-year deal, and now we're kind of stuck, and we need to cut him.
But when we signed him last year, we all said, man, we are making the deal. And I know that's the DBs drop a little bit quicker than DENs, but or outside linebackers, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you're also talking about a guy who throughout his whole career has been a 15 sack a year guy. So, he's also going to be very valuable in the locker room with whoever we bring in next year.
True.
As far as a draft pick or something, because, like we say, you've always got to draft a D-end every year.
Yeah.
Offensive line, D-end, D-tackle. That's every year. You got to get one. So
I'll say this: 3 other things I had to say about it. To me, it's a bummer to see this. I don't think it's the end of the world. Haason Reddick, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's the end of the defense. And obviously, he's definitely one of our best players on defense. But I don't think it's that. I don't know. I don't think it's not the end of the world if this were to happen.
If he were to walk, it wouldn't be shut the season down next year.
I would say the worst thing about this to me is this. Unfortunately, if we don't get it figured out and he does end up somewhere else, unfortunately, this does change the draft. I originally thought in this draft we were going to be drafting the top cornerback that we could possibly get. The best cornerback that we could possibly get, we are getting him. Yes. Unfortunately, if he's not back, knowing Howie Roseman, we're building the defensive line. There's no way. If we lose him, we are getting a defensive end, which will change everything. Now, I know you can get some good corners in the second round, but we don't have a very good history of that with Sidney Jones. I know he was a first rounder, but Eric Rowe.
It's time for us to get that guy that everybody looks at the draft list and says, he's the number one guy. He's going to go within the first 10 or 15 picks. Let's see what we can do to get to that. Yeah. But if we do lose Reddick, there's obviously going to be a trade involved. We're not just going to cut him.
Oh, God, no.
We're not going to pull that. We're not going to just let the guy go
Chip
like
Kelly,
the Sean Jackson or whatever. But, so we will get some picks back, maybe a 2, maybe a 2 and a 3. I doubt a 1. That's just not going to happen. But, and then he would go to his wherever he's going to go.
I could see
get a big contract there.
I could see like a 2 and a 4, which would be a good trade, I think.
It would depend. That two's got to be within the top 35, 40 picks of the draft.
Or a 2 and a player.
So it's got to be a bad team that's giving it to. Because if we're going to give a great player like that to, I don't want to name any teams, a team that's in the top echelon, you're just hurting yourself down the road, and you can't pick who you want. Oh, let's trade him to an AFC team. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, normally it's going to work to a team that's kind of on the way up, maybe, that needs some players, maybe the Bears, somebody like that. But we want to get a team, obviously we can't trade him to the Cardinals because they had him for a couple of years. But you know what I'm saying? I want that pick. If it is a 2, I want that 2 to be in the first 10 or 12 picks of the second round. Yes,
I understand. Yes. I get you.
Top 8 picks if I can. But again, you can't choose that. But that would be something that I would want. But because there's no dead cap money. Like you say, he didn't really ask for a trade. I think it was just they knew they couldn't pay him.
He wants another contract,
$20 million a year.
And I'm sure he wanted another contract before this year. Last year he had a great season. 16 sacks in the regular season, 2.5 in the postseason. A Super Bowl appearance. I can't imagine he wanted to play on his contract, but he probably was like, what, I'm not going to hold out and go, I need a new contract.
There should be some compensation for that too.
Absolutely.
Don't you hate? I know every NFL fan in the country hates. Oh, he's going to hold out. Oh, I'm like, we're going to sign him for 2 weeks. And it happens every single year. Yeah. And it's going to be this guy or that guy. And they sign him a week before. And then he tweaks his knee in week 2 and he's out for another 4 weeks. So, that's what we see. That's the reality of it. So hopefully we can nail it down. And if not, trade him before the draft.
I agree. That's kind of how I feel.
Close the book. I love it. We got new coaches. We got new this. We got new that. It's time to move on.
I definitely want him back, but you're right.
I definitely want him back too.
If you can't get it done then, you need those picks in the draft, I would say.
Yes.
Okay, that's everything I have there. Let's go over the coaching changes. Some of this stuff, of course, might have happened before the last time we recorded or within the last time, but we're just going to go over it all anyways. Christian Parker, he's going to be our defensive backs coach. Looks like he'll be more so our cornerbacks coach. Now, he coached with Fangio in Denver in 21 and 22 area. So he is he's known for kind of being the coach that coached Patrick Surtain.
How do you feel about that? I like when a coach comes and brings his guys.
Oh, absolutely. I love it.
And you don't know, sometimes it doesn't happen. Like I know there was one recently when Stoutland stayed. They were like, well, they're going to, he's the best offensive line coach in the league, if not top 5. You're not going to say we're changing that up but I do like it when a coach brings in his defensive back coach. Now, depends on how well his coaching was last year.
Yeah.
I know they were, not the greatest, but they had some injuries, so I know we talked about that as well. But I do like it.
I like it a lot because Pat Surtain, when he was a rookie in his second year in his best seasons, and I guess this last year was probably his best season, but still, when he was growing well and early on, we knew
trained him.
He was already a top 10, top 15 corner as a rookie. Early on he was great. Yes. And this is the guy that coached, and he coached under Vic Fangio. So I like it. I agree with it. I like the stuff. Kellen Moore did the same thing when he came. He brought all of his guys, his quarterbacks coach, he can't really bring his offensive line coach because that's Stoutland.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He didn't say, nope, if I'm not coming there, I want to clear out the room.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to keep this guy because I know he's built some great
my system. Yes. Next, we got Joe Casper. He's the safeties coach. He coached with us actually from 2021 to 2022 as defensive quality coach. He was in charge. He was the defensive quality. What's the word? Is the quality
coordinator? Yeah.
No, his defensive quality. The coach, I don't know. The quality keeps him healthy. Yeah, quality assurance. Keeps him healthy or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
But that's what his job was. So he's coached with us before, so that's good.
So he's moved up, basically. Yeah. He has his own little piece.
Yeah, and he coached with us in 21 and 22, and then in 23 he was gone. But he's with us now back, so that's nice because he's with Nick Sirianni. He coached with Nick Sirianni for 2 years, so he knows what's going on. Yeah. So it's cool to have him back. We got Bobby King, who's an inside linebackers coach. I couldn't get much on the history of him, kind of a lesser-known guy. But that's interesting because he's the inside linebackers coach. That's the first time that we've really made that designation as Eagles. They've always kind of been linebackers, outside. Now they're doing inside linebackers. It's a different position.
Oh, that's the position we need to feed because outside linebackers normally, the outside rushers, whatever you want to call them. But we need that guy that's in the middle, and right side, left side, whatever they call him. But
Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Get him the kid. Yes, I agree.
God, I would love to have him here.
Yeah,
that is my hope. And that's the thing. It's like, man, if we could. It's hard because you don't want to let him go in the second round, but you have 2 picks in the second round. Do you think you can get him with the second pick?
Right.
But you got to make sure you get him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, then
he's not going to go in the first round.
Put both picks together and move up to get him.
No.
I know.
No, this is because we have 2 seconds. You can't. We cannot lose those 2 seconds. That's the other thing I'd love to see this year. I know we're not talking about draft yet. We'll get into draft later in the offseason.
It's too early.
Before it. But something I'm tired of as an Eagles fan, and I'm sure a lot of people are, is the trading of picks.
The throwawaying of
picks. Not the throwing away, but trading. I'm tired of
it in. You're like, what are you doing?
I'm tired of when our pick. I want our pick to be picked when our pick is.
Right.
And I know last year was a good example of it. We didn't trade around anything.
Right.
We got Jalen Carter.
Right.
And then later on we got Nolan Smith. And I was happy. I was like, yeah, don't trade it because I can't stand it when I sit there for 2 hours watching this dumb draft that can be done in 10 minutes.
Right.
I have a lot of problems with the draft. Right. I've always said it. 10 minutes on the board. Why 10 minutes? You're the first pick. You know who you're picking. You have 10 seconds. Write it down now.
The first 10 teams know who they want.
Yes.
Unless there's some weird...
Yes, it can happen. But even then, 5 minutes. You don't have 10 minutes. Right. Come on.
I agree.
10 minutes? Yeah. Just below.
It is.
Can't stand it. So, yeah, that's what I'd like to see this year. I'd like to say the same thing as last year. Pick when we have picks. We have a first, we have 2 seconds, we have 2 thirds. I want 5 players in those first 3 rounds.
We need 5 players.
Exactly.
We do.
I want those 5 players.
We need those first-year contracts, and we need the guys to be here for a while. When I'm saying throwaway pick, you see it a lot of times. We're going to trade we're going from 80th to 50th, and they're going to get our second pick, and then we got the second pick. And then all of a sudden you go, and they threw in a 6th and a 7th. What are you doing? No, they're valuable picks. And when I say so many times in the last 10 years, we've picked up a guy. I always bring up the quarterback that we picked the 1 year.
Clayton Thorson.
What are you doing? You don't ever give away for a quarterback, especially.
It's a wasted pick.
It ended up being a wasted pick because the kid's maybe playing somewhere as a backup, but
sometimes that can be paid off, though. Tanner McKee. Because Tanner McKee,
that was a great
which we'll talk about.
What round did we get him?
6th round.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, and he's going to be our backup.
He does look good.
I don't think Mariota's going to
Mario's not coming back. I know they haven't said, but I don't think he's going to come back.
I can't imagine he does.
But I mean, he didn't help himself by playing for us last year, or hurt himself. Really, he took $5 million, and that was about it. So
it's true.
I mean, it was a good contract for us, but he played a little bit. But
you mean Mariota?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he played terribly.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even blame him, though. Everyone played terribly. That last Giants game, I can't. We don't have to do that.
I know, but
I can't do
I'm just saying, Mariota, he didn't,
Yeah, I know.
He didn't help himself become a starter somewhere.
No. Michael Clay, that's the other big move that we did. We extended Michael Clay, who's our special teams coordinator. Much deserved extension.
Definitely.
He really turned, I don't know, what's the word? Something into gold. What's the term?
Hey,
I don't know. He turned this season, what could have been a horrible special teams season, especially after we lost Zach McPherson and Sean Bradley, our best special teamers from the last 2-3 years. Once we lost both of them before the season, he turned it around and gave us one of the best special teams units of the entire NFL. We really, truly, I know maybe not statistically, we had the best punt returner in the league. Number 2, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think the best punt returner in the league. And he also coordinated, we didn't have any big returns against us very often.
There weren't.
The punter, Braden Mann, early on in the season, he seemed like,
scared the heck out of us.
And then he turned into really he broke some Eagles records for punting.
He did. He was amazing.
He's the best Eagles punter in Eagles history.
We have him for next year because he's still fairly young.
He's also a free agent. We're going to have to,
Yeah, but I mean, when we picked him up last year, I remember we're thinking, we were just scrambling for a punter.
Yeah, it was just we need someone instead of Aaron Sipos. What do we do?
And early on he wasn't, but then he started to become a boomer, and we had some real good luck with him there, especially in some of those games that we really needed, and he pulled it out. So that was good to see. So I'm glad they did re-up Clay.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a great season. All right, let's jump over into some free agency talk that we talked about. We're going to go through all the free agents that we have coming up this season. We're going to give us our stay or go. Do you think they're staying? Do you think they're gone? You ready for that?
Yes.
We'll start with the offense. We're going to go with the biggest one early on, Jason Kelce. You think he retires, or do you think he comes back?
I think he retires. I'm sorry. I know I've been holding out hope just like everybody else, and if he comes back, we'll celebrate. But I don't think he is. I just don't think he is.
I agree with you. I know it's hard because you want him back. So our bias is to stay. But how can you stay? I mean, because to me, I don't know that. I don't know. There's two parts of it. If you're really thinking about it, like if you're like, should I retire or should I keep playing? You should play because you can always retire.
Right.
You can't always play. You know what I mean?
No, it's true.
But I just feel like at this point, when he's in Vegas having fun. He has got his podcast. He's already going to have interviews pretty soon for being a broadcaster, and he's going to be great at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine. Why would you keep putting paint on your knees? You know what I mean?
He's got little kids.
He's got kids.
I mean, there's such a big thing to that, and I know it's selfish for fans of a team to want him to come back and everything. But
yeah.
I mean, and if he did, it would be great. But it's going to be a big decision for him, and he's going to have to go in 100%. And but you could tell it's kind of he's kind of enjoying life, and he won 35, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I get it.
I hope he comes back, but I don't think he will.
Going into the quicker ones, Marcus Mariota
gone.
I think he's gone too. DeAndre Swift.
So let me say, the first thing I say is what I want. The second thing is what I think is going to happen.
Marcus Mariota.
He's gone, and I want him gone. Because I want Tanner McKee to play.
DeAndre Swift.
I
don't want Tanner McKee to play, but I want him to be the backup.
Exactly. I would like to see Swift stay, but I don't think he's going to stay.
I agree. I want him to stay. I think he'll be gone. Boston Scott.
Gone. I love Boston Scott, but it's time.
I think he's gone, and I just think if they're not going to use him,
no.
Why are we keeping him?
Get me a 21-year-old kid that I can have for a year or two, and maybe he's the best guy out of the backfield ever. But Boston Scott, they didn't use him at all, unfortunately, even in the Giants game. So, I mean, it was just – and then he had a couple gaffes there and there.
I think he's gone. I'd love for him to be here, but I think he's gone. Sua Opeta.
Well, he didn't play much, right? He played a little bit.
He didn't need him much. I mean, Cam Jurgens did miss a few games. He was 3 or 4
I would say I would like to see him stay just because you always need to have 3 or 4 backup linemen that can play. But probably he'll go if their money's not there.
Yeah. I think he's gone. I agree with you. I'd like for him to stay because he is a quality backup. He's a guy that, when he comes in, obviously, it's not going to be as good as it was before, but we see much worse. When a backup comes in, sometimes on your offensive line, you're like, oh, no.
There's a holding call for play.
Here we go. But with Jeff Stoutland, I mean, really it's Stoutland. And these guys like Sua Opeta and Jack Driscoll, these guys that they've created. Back in the day, Nate Herbig, who we had. Isaac Seumalo before he was a starter.
Right.
These guys would come in and you're like, yeah, it's not going to be as good as it was before, but I really have no fear. Like, I'm not like, oh, my gosh. Oh, my God, what are we like?
Right.
Sua Opeta's in? No, I'm like, Sua's in. That's fine. We're going to be fine.
Like kind of like when Peters went out a couple seasons ago, like back when he went out that year, we were like, oh, no.
Yeah. Here comes Andre. Yeah. What was his name? Dillard. Thank you. Gosh. Here comes Dillard.
But I thought it was going to, and that was a Super Bowl year, so.
I would like Opeta to stay, but I agree. I think he's gone. I think he's going to go through the same thing that the guys like Seumalo, Dillard, Herbig, because they were coached by Jeff Stoutland, the best offensive line coach in the league.
Right.
Other teams, they like having a guy. They know he's the best, and if he can turn, he can turn these guys who are 4th-round picks into very serviceable and sometimes starters.
Yes.
I think they're going to want him. So
because with the NFL linemen, you need your 5, but you need another 3 or 4 because you never know what's going to happen.
I agree.
And you love to have that versatile guard, tackle type guy, center guard guy. Yeah. And I think we still have some of those in the back pocket. So you'd like to keep them. And, I'm sure Opeta's not breaking the bank right now.
No, not at all.
So that's the other thing, Why not have 5 or 6 or 7 linemen so in the draft this year we can get that one guy that we need maybe in the 5th round that, he may be a starter in 2 years. We don't have to break the bank for him either.
I think Tyler Steen's going to kind of step into that Sua Opeta role pretty well, too.
Exactly, and he did look good last year for when he did play.
Rashad Penny.
Gone.
I don't want this crap. What a waste of time. What a horror. I'm going to have to make a list of, weirdest things that happened this season. Yeah. Because that's number 1 or number 2.
Like you said, wasted time. How many times did I mention his name in his pod?
Yeah.
Maybe even if it was a minute combined, that's too much time.
I know.
He did not. It was 4 carries or something.
Was he hurt or did they just go? Yeah, we signed him and we kind of need. They did sign him, right? It wasn't a trade.
No, it's signing.
And they signed him and they were like, well, we can't really cut him. I guess we'll just.
I don't think it was league minimum either. I think he was like a couple $1 million.
That was terrible. What a waste of our time. Why would we?
Yes.
Olamide Zaccheaus.
I had I know this is the short part of the pod, but I liked him, but he's gone.
Gone.
I liked him.
I liked him too, but dude,
why not?
Why can't anyone? I feel like the easiest job in the world.
Yes.
I didn't say this, but one of the easiest jobs in the world would be to be the third wide receiver,
third or fourth.
Why was this so hard?
Yes.
Why was it so hard to get third wide receivers?
Nobody's even looking at you.
Anyone? What do you do? Like
they're looking over there.
You have AJ and Devontae.
Yes.
You can't get open. That's the third best corner.
Yeah.
Sometimes the fourth. Because the third is covering Dallas Goedert.
Linebacker because they're doubling Brown. I mean,
I can't.
It is. I mean, he had a few touchdowns. Two of them were both really great plays.
Those were only two.
They were big. Okay, his 2 touchdowns were huge. But I mean,
and then in the postseason game, the playoffs, we didn't have AJ.
Yeah,
we had Devontae. No one could step up. Lamini's, so to me, Zacchaeus, it was the same thing as Julio and Quez. I know Julio's going to retire, but get out. I can't even look at you. What was the point?
So who's our wide receivers coach this year? Is he a new guy too?
We haven't.
Hopefully,
announced
he earns his keep because we're going to.
I think it's the same guy still. They do need to get. They need to get a new guy in here. We still have Aaron Moorhead.
Yeah. I think we need somebody there because, I mean, it's not, AJ and Devontae, I think I could coach them. Go out here and go right and go left.
That's true.
I mean, these other guys need something because Quez, we've been talking about him for 5 seasons now. I know I'm exaggerating, but.
No, 4 though. He's been around since 2020.
You got Quez, you got Devontae, and you got AJ, and you can't get open twice in a game?
That's the thing. I feel like. At least, maybe not on a regular team, but on our team, a number 3 receiver should be the easiest job in the world.
Yeah.
I don't understand because there's 3 guys ahead of you in Goddard, Swift, and Brown.
And that's another thing. I think we talk about our NFL Bible. Well, that's another one. You should always pick up a wide receiver in the draft.
Always
get
at least 1 or 2.
I don't care if it's a 5'10" burner or a 6'2" tall.
Yeah, always.
Trogger or something.
You think Covey could be a good third wide receiver?
I know they talked about that. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, he's got good hands. Give him a quick pass off the line and see what he can do.
For me, the thing would be, do I think he can be great? No. But is he going to be any worse? Could he be any worse than these guys? Like, you're telling me he couldn't do better than OZ, Julio, and Quez combined? Like,
that speed.
I can't imagine he couldn't. Let's move on. Sorry.
Yeah.
This one we're going to glaze by. I don't even want to talk about it. Alberto.
Gone. What? Yeah.
Gone.
What did we do?
Jack Driscoll.
If we're going to keep 3, I think we should definitely keep him on the list. What was the other guy we got?
We said Sue Opeta.
No, I saw the other tight ends.
Well, Jack Driscoll's not a tight end. He's a tackle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
You're thinking Jack Stoll.
Yeah, what am I thinking?
Jack Driscoll.
I think we should keep him. I thought he played great his rookie year.
Yeah, his rookie and second year he played really well.
And
his rookie year he was okay. His second year he played at guard and he was great. And I was like, why are we not playing him at guard again?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are we not playing him? Play him. Let's go. But
I don't know how many years we've had him. If he's on his rookie deal, but we should keep him.
I think he's on his rookie deal still.
Okay. Well, we should keep him.
Yeah, he is on his rookie. Yeah, 19, 20.
Like I say, offensive linemen, if they've been in your system for 3 or 4 years,
he must have been drafted in 20 because 21, 2, and 3. So he's in his this will be his 5th season coming over. Then his rookie contract's only 4 years.
Right.
So that makes sense. Yeah. So I think he'll stay, and I want him to stay. So, Quez Watkins gone. Jack Stoll.
That's where I like Stoll, but I know.
I think if we keep Stoll, we have to get rid of Calcaterra.
Yes, we do.
I think we're going to draft a tight end in the 3rd or 4th round.
Right.
And I think we need to.
I do too.
We have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. I think. You go cornerback with one of them. You go wide receiver with another. You go offensive. You probably go defensive line with one, offensive line with one, and I think you go tight end with one. I think we need another pass catching tight end. Number one because it's great to have 2 tight ends who can catch the ball.
Right.
It's just a good thing to have, whether you have a great one or a not so great one. The other thing being Dallas Goedert, I don't know if he'll ever be reliable as far as injury.
The one thing about him, it's funny because we always talk about him, especially in preseason, as him being a top 5, top 10 tight end, and statistically, he's lower. He's maybe in the top 20.
Yeah,
I mean
he can't play.
That's not very good. He misses time. He plays his butt off. But he gets injured too much for me.
I know.
I mean, and now he's got to be getting up in age.
Yeah. He's 28. He's 29.
So we do need another tight end, and I know we had kicked around a few guys last year, and it just didn't ever work.
So I think if we keep Stoll, and I'd like to keep Stoll.
Don't we have one on our? I'm sorry. Don't we have one on our practice squad too?
Probably like Noah Togiai.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah. But right now on the active roster, well, going into the season, we would have Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. I think we need to move off Calcaterra. I would like to keep Stoll as a blocking tight end. I think he's a great blocker.
When he goes in motion, he just destroys.
Yeah. I think he's great.
Yeah.
But if we're going to keep,
and he's not hurt, he doesn't get injured.
I don't think we can keep both.
For sure.
Jack Stoll, Grant Calcaterra. Yeah. Whoever you keep, we're going to have to move off the other one.
And I know Calcaterra's been talked about being, that wide receiver can catch the ball. He's got like 3 catches in his career.
That's the thing. When did it happen?
Yeah, when did it happen?
They keep on saying he could do this.
Yeah.
When?
Yeah, I need to see
do it now. There's 3 guys hurt. He's starting. Do it now.
I do see Jack Stoll. He comes across in motion and just destroys people on those running plays. And he does it consistently. And I always pointed out to you when we're watching the game, the guy's amazing. So that's what I like.
He's great. He's a really great blocker. But yeah, I just think we need to get another receiving tight end. Yeah. All right, defensively, let's go through these. Fletcher Cox,
keep.
I think he's going to stay.
One more year.
I think he's going to
stay. He played great last year.
He's going to stay, and I want him to stay. Brandon Graham.
I'd love him to stay. I know he's always taken the cap money. He's always said, "Hey, just pay me this." Yeah, I'd love to. One more year. This is it.
One more year to stay, and I want him to stay. Zach Cunningham,
gone.
Terrible, horrible investment.
Yeah,
it's funny because at one point he was like the best linebacker we had, but man, that means nothing. I could have been the best linebacker they had. It's so bad. Justin Evans.
I thought he played pretty well at times.
Then he got burned. This guy's never played a full season, first of all. He's hurt every season of his career. Gone. I can't. Okay. We're wasting our time with this guy. Stop. Gone. Shaq Leonard.
Oh, come on.
Gone. Please retire. What are we doing here?
Ridiculous. Oh, we want him. We got him.
Nicholas Morrow.
Jeez. Morrow, you know what? He had 3 sacks one game?
Yeah, that was.
If we get platinum for,
he had 3 sacks one game, 3 sacks all season.
If we could have him for that one game, I would say yes. We get to pick what game.
If you're going to keep him, turn him into a defensive end. Don't let him be a linebacker anymore. Just let him blitz, I guess. He's terrible. Gone. I don't want this guy.
No,
this guy can't tackle anybody. This guy's the reason we lost the Niners game. He couldn't tackle a freaking body.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, we're going to talk about a season now.
All right.
We're going to do the same thing we did last week. We both chose a season. We didn't tell each other the season or the year, and we're going to give each other some descriptors and the way the season happened and everything like that. And you will go ahead and start, Dad.
I'll go first. Okay, our record in this season was 7-5. So we only played 12 games, so that tells you something.
Okay.
Back when this happened, we were in the American Conference.
Oh, wow.
And it was the Browns, the Eagles, the Giants, the Steelers, the Cardinals, Chicago Cardinals, and the Redskins. The other division was called the National Conference. Detroit Lions, Los Angeles Rams, San Francisco 49ers, Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, and the Dallas Texans. Dallas Texans, as you know, I did 1 year. Yes. They only played 1 year, and then they folded for a few, and then they came back.
Chicago Bears and Chicago Cardinals.
Yes.
2 teams.
Yes.
Wow.
So in this particular season, this was the Eagles season, the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams finished 9-3. So they played a playoff game to play in the championship game, which is crazy when you think about it. They were both 9-3, so they had to play the Browns. Detroit won, and Detroit Lions won the championship in that particular season. Okay, in that year, they won 17-7 over the Browns. So if you got your phones out, you can pull it up. So we had some Pro Bowlers that year. We had Pete Pihos, 7 catches, 1,049 yards, 10 touchdowns as a tight end in this season.
How many catches?
63.
Oh, I thought you said 7 catches.
No, 63.
Okay.
So we also had a few more guys, a couple offensive linemen. We had a quarterback named Bobby Tomlinson.
Yep.
21 touchdowns, 20 interceptions.
Wow.
He was a Pro Bowler. Chuck Bednarik was also in that Pro Bowl. I pulled up the Pro Bowl roster. There's only so many teams, so you got a lot of guys in your team.
Of course, yeah.
In this particular season, we had the 5th overall draft pick. We picked a guy named Johnny Bright, played for Drake College.
Yep, there we go.
He declined to play for the Eagles back in that season because he would have been the first black player on our team.
Eagles history.
Kind of as it was just starting to come around, so he just chose not to play for the team.
Yeah.
but he did not play football. He went up to Canada, played for the Calgary Stampeders of the Western Provincial Football Union, which became the Western Division of the Canadian Football League. He played from 1952 to 1964, but I believe he had a 12 years career. He ended up being in the draft or put in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame.
Cool.
So we kind of missed out on a great running back.
Yeah.
But he finished with 10,900 yards, 70 touchdowns, 5.5 yards a carry average. So, and he also played, I think you were telling me, he played some college football as a quarterback too.
Yeah, he played quarterback in college, yeah.
So I won't go into the other pieces, but yeah, so.
If you want to learn more about Johnny Bright, there's something called the Johnny Bright Incident that is actually very interesting for you to read about. We do suggest you going into it.
It's very, very interesting. So Johnny Bright, and it happened when he was in college, but it ended up, some of the plays that happened in there, they ended up changing some of the college football rules after he played because of what went down. So check it out. It was a pretty interesting thing. But anyway, I don't know. It's tough for you to pick that. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, I can tell it's in the 50s, but I'd say, well, you did say Johnny Bright was drafted in 52, so I think 52 because we drafted him. So 1952.
Yeah, 1952 season. 7-5, not a bad record.
Yeah.
The year before, we were really bad. We had a real quick 1951 season. We had a coach, went 2-0, started feeling bad, went and found out he had stomach cancer. Oh. So then the next guy that came in went 2-8. The next season, he got sick. So then this guy, I forget whoever, I didn't write it down. But he ended up being the coach that season where they went 7-5. So it was a pretty good year, actually. Okay. You know, we always think that the Eagles back in the 50s and 60s were, 2-12.
Yeah.
But 75, not bad. They didn't make the playoffs, but pretty good year. Okay. But good guess there, Baz.
There we go. Yep. Okay. I'll go ahead and go with mine. In this year, we had one Pro Bowler. Do we say the name? I can't remember.
You don't have to, but
we had one Pro Bowler. It was Bill Bergey.
Okay.
I know
where I'm at now.
We had no All-Pros. We were 4-10, and this season is famously featured in the 2006 film Invincible, one of the greatest sports movies ever made.
So it's got to be the 76 season.
Correct, 76.
Not 77. I was going to go, but yeah, Bill Bergey. He was actually in 76. I was pretty young. And he was my favorite player. We used to play a lot of football on the street, and I was always – some of the other guys were Bill Bergey as well because he was number 66. Really, really liked him. But it's funny, we didn't draft him. He actually was drafted by, I believe, Cincinnati Bengals, and we got him in a trade a few years later.
Yeah.
But he played for Cincinnati College as well,
okay.
I believe. I don't know. I have that information. I just kind of remember that, which is Just it was funny how we ended up getting him. He ended up being one of our best players for years.
Oh yeah,
and he played all the way through the Super Bowl,
possibly still the
1980 season,
possibly the best linebacker in Eagles history. I mean, we could make some arguments there.
I'm a Steph Jr. guy, but
that's fair.
But I'm just we
can make some arguments there.
But he was amazing. But he was back when an old school linebacker, like you didn't blitz, you played linebacker. Yeah. Probably had a lot of interceptions in his career. Probably had a bunch of. I don't know if they had sacks even counted him back then, but he would have definitely had a bunch of interceptions because I remember he had big old paws and he would just put – he's another one of those all-time Eagle players, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
1976, though, let me mention that. Obviously, like I said, this season was featured in the 2006 movie Invincible, which is an incredible movie if you haven't seen it. It's about Vince Papale. Yep, right there. Jersey's right there. Who was a wide receiver and special teamer for the Eagles in that time period. Used to play for the Philadelphia Bell, the minor league football team. Then he got a walk-on. They had the walk-on. What am I trying to say? Walk-on tryouts that Dick Vermeil, the actor, played.
Greg Kinnear,
he was the coach. Dick Vermeil, that was also his first year as our head coach. In the 1976 season, it's a very important season in the history of the Eagles, not just because of that movie, but because of what it set into place for the years to come. It really did turn our franchise around in a way, if you think about it. 1976, we were 4-10. We were not very good. The next year, we were 5-9. We started to build, and then 2 years later, the next year was 78. We were in the playoffs. We were 9-7. Then in 80, we were in the Super Bowl. In 79, we were in the playoffs again. 1980, we were in the Super Bowl. 1981 was another down year, but we were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, we were a little bit rough, and then we got Randall Cunningham.
But in 81, they were like 6-0 or something.
We started
really good, and then fell in the toilet.
Yeah, kind of like the 2023 Eagles, huh?
Kind of, yeah.
Similar to that. So, 1976, pretty big season in terms of.
So hopefully that's it. We're building for that Super Bowl.
That's the thing. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, they didn't win it though. It took another 30 years, so I guess we don't really want to. Because in 1976, but they won the Super Bowl in 2017. So
yeah,
later.
Well, football.
Let's hope it's not the same. But you got anything else to say, my friend?
Not really though. But it was fun. Shouting out to all the commenters that we have, which is really neat. Yes. And we had a little bit of fun after the Super Bowl recap. We had some Niner fans come in, and there was a few that, at first were a little bit testy, and then eventually it kind of broke down.
Have a good summer.
Have a great off season, and it was kind of fun. So for those guys that did chime in, it was fun. And like I say, now that the season's over, we're just see you next year, I guess, what we say. So
bang, bang. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's say our goodbyes here. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe down below. Please comment anything you'd like to say to us, any questions. Give us your favorite Eagles season. Maybe tell us some of your free agent thoughts and everything like that. Who's going to stay? Who's going to be gone? Why Jason Kelce should stay around? Everything like that. But other than that, you can email us any questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.